That was exciting. And by the way, the Malibu Beach House, we forgot to mention that we're all invited. So I'm sorry, we forgot to mention that in a bit, but we're all going. So just give us the date. Perfect. Thank you. Looking forward to that. Okay. Let's bring it back down. Okay. Tonight, it's about bidding, obviously, but it's about Duchenne. Let's go back to where we started. Okay. Tonight is about Duchenne, but it is also a very momentous day in our country, which is Veterans Day. By definition, it is a day that honors military veterans, that is, persons who served in the United States Armed Forces. We honor all the men and women who have served and who continue to serve in the military and lay down their lives for our freedom. And I'm sure we have veterans in this room tonight. Tom had asked them to stand up, but anyway, who are all the veterans in this room? Raise your hand. Is there any veterans in the room? Veterans? My dad is a veteran. Korean War, Air Force, veterans over there. Yay. Okay. So tonight, we would like to honor two very special members of the United States Air Force, who also happen to be fathers of boys with Duchenne. Timothy Pyatt served over 20 years in the United States Air Force and retired as a major. He now works in the Air Force as a civilian, and he lives in Florida. He served in a Joint Special Operations Task Force in Afghanistan and Iraq and received the Bronze Star. His son Tanner was born at an Air Force base in Texas, and when Tim was on a one-year tour in Kuwait in 1998, Tanner was diagnosed with Duchenne. Tanner is now 23 years old, and his mobility is very limited. The strains of Duchenne sadly ended his marriage 3 years ago. The Pyatts do not live near Duchenne clinical care, so they travel by car because it's much easier than air travel, to the University of Florida for cardiac care, which is 5 hours from their home, and they go to Cincinnati Children's Hospital once or twice a year for a 12-hour drive for their annual visits. Walking Strong is very proud to show our support to Tim and his family by funding their travel to their doctor appointments over the next year.
Thank you guys for honoring the vets tonight and honoring Tanner, and we really appreciate Walking Strong for everything they do for us.
Thank you. It's awesome to be a part of you guys. Thank you.
Second father is Master Sergeant Richard Pirate, who is currently serving in the Air Force, living in Virginia with his wife and his two sons. His son, Aiden, has Duchenne, who's now 12 years old. Aiden was diagnosed while Richard was deployed in the Pacific Rim in 2011. Aiden stopped walking 2 years ago, and his wife tried to raise money through the GoFundMe to purchase an accessible minivan. They fell very short of their goal. They have very big payments every month. Richard and I talked on the phone for quite a while twice, and he let me know that there's a very, very strong chance that very soon he's going to be deployed to Korea for 1 year. He has very deep concerns about leaving his wife with the two sons. She's a working mom. You can imagine his concerns. And he'd very much like his wife to be able to quit her job and stay home while he's gone to take care of their kids. It is with our deepest, deepest pride and pleasure that through the Walking Strong Assistance Program that we will help them pay off the loan on their accessible minivan.
Hello, my name is Richard Piper. I've been in the United States Air Force for over 20 years. My current rank is Master Sergeant, and I'm a weapons maintainer that works on fighter aircraft. While deployed in 2010, my wife noticed changes in my son physically. He could not keep up with his friends in kindergarten. I tried to keep her positive and called it just growing pains, and there's nothing to worry about. But when I came back home from my deployment, I knew something was wrong. After DNA testing, we found out on his birthday, Aiden was diagnosed with Duchenne's muscular dystrophy. Our world was turned upside down. Our hearts were broken. Nothing in my military career has prepared me for a boy with Duchenne. I spent the next couple of months lost in the moment, going through the motions at work, only to come home to my wife crying on her shoulders. You see, I'm taught to fix things that felt helpless towards my son. I know my military family were there to support me, but what really paved my way in dealing with this disease is the help from other families dealing with Duchenne's. Organizations like Walking Strong. Organizations like this are able to bring everyone together for one common goal, to save our sons. Aiden lost his ability to walk in 2015. We tried to raise money for an accessible van. We were able to raise enough money to put a down payment on the used one, but that left us financially strapped. The cost of Duchenne is great to families like mine. We deeply appreciate the gift Walking Strong is providing us, and we feel blessed they are helping us and our son Aiden. We thank you.
I was fortunate enough to speak to Richard and Tim on the phone a few times, and I was really humbled by our conversations. These men are really true heroes who have laid down their lives for us in battle while at home fighting a very personal battle. And I've never been called ma'am so many times in my life. Thank you, ma'am. This is right, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I just never expected. It was very, very nice. Anyway. In 1954, President Dwight D. Eisenhower said regarding Veterans Day, in order to ensure proper and widespread observance of this anniversary, all veterans organizations, and the entire citizenry will wish to join hands in the common purpose. And this sentiment parallels what we are doing here tonight. We are also joining in the common purpose of finding an end to Duchenne and supporting those and their loved ones affected. So now I bring back my husband, George, who in my opinion is my hero and the greatest dad that I know, and whom I am blessed to have his strength as we go forward on this journey that has been laid out for us together.
Hello. Before I begin my speech, I'll just let you know this was the hardest thing I have ever written in my entire life. So, tonight we come together for an evening of strength. Strength is a word I really do not take lightly, as you've seen throughout the night. It's both emotional and physical. It is Herculean in the way it has allowed us to move forward, but also robs us of every ounce of energy to keep fighting every day. Strength is not about any one individual, but a community of people who refuel us each day to keep us going. It was just about a year ago that I stood right here on this stage, filled with lots of hope, as Alex was still walking and in a clinical trial of a promising treatment drug. But Duchenne is an insidious disease which never rests. It's hard to explain what life is like when you have a son who has a disease that nobody has heard of and that currently has no cure. But one thing is certain. You become immune to the disappointments as there is only one choice, which is to fight as Duchenne never stops, never gets tired, and never slows down. 6 months ago, my son Alexander took his last step. There are truly no words that can describe the feeling. I recall one particular moment where reality sunk in. I was at home in our kitchen, and I had just helped him onto his scooter that he now is using all the time in the house. And something came over me, a feeling of complete helplessness and grief. My son stopped walking, and there was absolutely nothing I could do. The realization hit me that he could no longer stand and walk over to give his dad a hug. A simple thing I had taken for granted. All I thought was I am his father, and my job is to protect him and to be there to make things better. And I felt like a failure because there was nothing I could do. As I looked deeply into his big brown eyes, all I wanted to do was give him a kiss and a hug and say, "Don't worry, Daddy will make it better. I wanted to shield him from my pain and fear, but I couldn't help it as the tears welled up, in my eyes and one streamed down my cheek. I felt as all the strength and hope I had was sucked out of my body. I was the boxer, laid out on the mat, dazed and confused. I tried to find whatever strength was left in me to move or to speak. What would I say to my son when asked the inevitable? Why did I stop walking? A voice snapped me out of it. It was Alex. He looked at me and said, "I'm all right, Dad." It was as if he knew the pain I was feeling and wanted to show me the strength he had and almost comfort me. What I realized was that my son had already gotten up, dusted himself off, and said, "Nothing can dim my light." Alex is a source of my strength. He is my superhero. There is a quote that says, "Make up your mind that no matter what comes your way, no matter how difficult, no matter how unfair, you will do more than simply survive. You will thrive in spite of it." Alex has chosen to thrive. He has an inner strength that gives me the strength to fight the good fight, to get up no matter how many times Duchenne knocks me down. He will not stop fighting. We will not lose hope. And he will never stop smiling, as you can see in this picture. Alex may have stopped walking, but we continue to walk strong and walk strong for him and for all the boys with Duchenne.